guys, what's up? It is Lavender and welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today's video is a little overdue, if you can tell by the title. Today's video is a birthday book haul. And I will admit that I did go a little crazy on this book haul. Almost all of these, and by almost all of these, I mean literally all of these except for one book, I bought over the course of like a week and then a weekend. This video, like I said, is a week overdue because my birthday was last weekend, September 28th. At least I'm filming it now, okay? It is October, I realize, but whatever. That being said, let's get on into the book haul. Yeah, I guess I will start off with the books that fell in the beginning of this video. So the first book is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Allison Sack. I have read one book by her, which is A Fragile Enchantment, right here, and I read it. It wasn't horrible. I do have the Owlcrate edition, so it does, I mean, it has Autodat and that. Not like this book, but the ending definitely was very, what did I just read? What just happened? So I'm very interested to see what this book is going to be like. I am not really sure what it is about, but it does give me very gothic, kind of dark academia vibes to it, and also a hopeful enemies to lovers, or just lovers in general, just because of the fact that there's two people on the cover and they look, I don't know, like they could be together. I don't know. It is a fantasy romance, which makes me so happy because I crave fantasy romances. So from this, what I'm basically gathering is that the girl is a folklorist with a quick temper and kind of quick wit, somehow paired up with, I'm guessing, this guy, which is her longtime academic rival. And I'm guessing they're gonna pair up or somehow get paired up to investigate some sort of situation in the kingdom. And I'm guessing because this is fantasy romance that they end up getting together, or they end up seeing that they like each other. So, and it's also like a really short read. I feel like I would be able to finish this in like 3 or 4 days, depending on, you know, my mood. But yeah, like I said, I'm super interested to read this. The second book is the second book in the Dirty Air series, which is Collided. First read Throttled back in the summer after seeing Madison Kate's review on it, and I don't know I really don't know what urged me to read this. I think it was mostly because I read Lauren Asher's book with the Billionaire series, and I read the first book in that series and absolutely loved it. Now, I won't say I loved this book. It was definitely like a 3-star probably, just because if it wasn't for the F1 kind of whole environment or vibe, I would probably not like this book at all. But for some reason, it felt like, honestly, it felt like whenever Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got together and all the Swifties were like trying to figure out, or like not trying to figure out, but were basically trying to learn football. That's what I felt like reading this book. It's like, I didn't know these two characters. I don't, like, these two characters are fictional, whatever. But for some reason, after reading this book, I'm like, okay, maybe I do understand F1. And maybe I am an F1 girly. I'm not, but I was like, maybe I am. So I finished this book, loved it a little bit. And then after I heard that she was basically reprinting her series, which I think this is like, if I'm not mistaken, this might be her like first debut series, maybe, if I'm not mistaken, maybe. And so she's basically reprinting the books, and I will not lie in saying that half the reason why I did buy this is because the spines of the book are supposed to make, I don't know if this isn't, yeah, this is okay, are supposed to make like a tiny, like a little car. And I will say that that is kind of also the reason why I bought this book. But in this book, we follow Sophie and Liam, and from my understanding, basically we're following different characters from this first book in their kind of like romance life and whatnot. And my only thing is I'm scared of reading this book because of the fact that in the first book I didn't really like Sophie that much. Granted, it could be different now that we're getting Sophie's kind of view and not getting Sophie's actual view and not Maya's view of Sophie. There we go. Because Sophie did give me like Golden Retriever Girl, but in the kind of like worst way possible. I do like this book just because I have never really read a series where we're following different characters from the first initial book. The second book, and this third book is another series or second book within a series, and that is Broken Webs by Lori M. Lee. I read the first book, which is A Forest of Souls, I think back in like 2021 maybe, I'm not sure, and I absolutely, besides the cover, I absolutely loved this book. And I didn't really think about reading the second book or going farther along in the series until I saw the second book in the bookstore, and I was like, you're coming home with me. I did, however, order this on Amazon, so this was the last book to get here that kind of completed this whole book haul. I have no idea what this is about. I don't remember anything that this book was about, so I can't tell you much of what this book is about, but I'm guessing it follows, obviously, the first book. And my guess is this character is the same person as this front character. But yeah, I know, very unhelpful, but I don't remember what these books are about. The book covers themselves are stunning, and I actually have been displaying this book on my shelf because I love it so much. This next book is a book that I have been putting off reading, and by putting off reading I mean I never really intended to pick it up and or read it, because I've heard so many mixed reviews and mixed opinions about this book that I was like, no. Especially considering that the book is a romance book that is the size of a fantasy book, let me just say that, and that is Things We Never Got Over by Lucy Score. I have never read a Lucy Score book in my life. I think this is like, I'm trying to read like the more popular like romance authors like Elsie Silver, Emily Henry, and then Lauren Asher, but I've never once read a book by Lucy Score. And I have honestly no clue what this book is about, other than I think it's like a relationship, like it's a romance book, obviously, I feel like. But from what I've heard, it's like a romance book, but not a fluffy romance book. It's a romance book that really, like, I'm guessing takes like real life romance scenarios or relationship scenarios and puts them in a fictional book. I could be totally wrong, and if I am, I'm sorry. I basically saw this, I think I bought this a weekend before my birthday, and I saw it and I was like, you know what, why not? Because at this point I basically consumed every Netflix romance movie that Netflix has to offer, so I feel like the next best thing is to pick up romance books because it's the same thing, right? I just don't understand how it is 600 pages long and how you can fit a romance book that is a series into this many pages. Like, it better be good. It better be good, or at least 3.5 star or more. Then that will be fine reading the next few books. But if it is less than that, I'm probably not gonna finish it, because tell me why. Why is this 600 pages long? Books I've been wanting to read, or I have been influenced to read, and I didn't. The only book that I only bought 2 books that I was like, you might be interesting, I'm gonna pick you up. And this next book I never intended to pick up, but when I saw Madison Kate's reading vlog a while back, and I saw her reading this book, and I wasn't really watching it, I was more so listening to it while doing something else on my iPad, and I looked up whenever she was talking about this book and about how it was giving like romance or enemies to lovers romance, and my brain was like, oh, okay, you say that, then I'm going to add that to my TBR list. So in a way, it was on my TBR list, though if I had gone the day before or any time before that, I wouldn't have had an excuse, but here we are. And that is Heartless Hunter by Christine Sicariello. I have no clue if I'm saying that right. And it is the Crimson Moth Book 1 series or something like that. And I do know that this book follows a witch and a witch hunter. As far as that, the fact that Rachel Gillig, who wrote One Dark Window, and Rebecca Ross, who wrote Divine Rivals, plugged this book on the back makes me even more happy that I'm gonna like this book. It basically follows a witch hunter and a witch who get together, but one of them doesn't know that they're a witch. Can you guess which one? And ends up kind of falling in love, but doesn't realize that they're falling in love with a witch, and then, you know, the whole thing just anyways. But I'm super excited to read this. Again, it looks like a quick, I say quick as in, for me it's like a week read. It does look kind of big, which makes me happy because that means I'll get through it faster probably. But yeah, I'm super excited to read this book. This next book is actually the book club book pick for the book club that I am in for this month. And I'm not too sure if I'm going to read this book though, just because I have other books on my TBR that I am wanting to read for October. And that is The Spell Shop. Oh yeah, just The Spell Shop. Yes, I know I still have this Target sticker on there, don't at me. Okay, this has been marketed as a cozy fantasy read, and if I'm being honest, I might, if I don't read this month, I will definitely read this next month, just because I feel like between August and November is like the perfect time for me to read like fantasy, like cozy fantasy or fantasy books in general. It also, I got the edition that also has purple sprayed edges. Doesn't have anything on the cover on the like, it's just a simple hardcover book, but I do like that it is purple sprayed edges because that makes me happy, especially because I like this color purple. But I'm super interested to read this. A Hallmark rom-com full of mythical creatures and fueled by some roles and the magic. The Spell Shop will heal your heart and feed your soul. Say no more. Say no more. I am already hooked. This next one isn't really necessarily a book that I will be reading all in one, or, you know, as a normal book, but a book that I will probably be reading off and on if I'm like in the mood to. It is also the only book that I did not buy with my own money, and that is Selected Poems of Emily Dickinson. It is the Barnes & Noble special edition or something like that, and basically that. And there's the cover and the back side. I honestly have no clue who Emily Dickinson really is. I just know that she's a really famous poet. She was really famous for her poetry, and maybe, I don't know, I don't really know much about Emily Dickinson other than she was a famous poet. I did have on my wish list for my birthday, I did have the book with all her poems in it, but this is just as good. I feel like it's very tiny, but I feel like this is one of those things that I'm gonna probably read when I'm like really needing either a good cry or a good like reality check, basically, probably. But yeah, that is that. Next book is a romance book, and like Throttled, it is the second book within a series that kind of follows different characters, and that is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is in the Maple Hills kind of series, and this is following Russ and Aurora. I love the name Aurora. Oh my gosh, I cannot pronounce it so much to save my life, but I love that name. I have no clue like what it really is about, other than we're basically following those two people, and I'm guessing like a one-night stand ends in like them being together, I guess. I don't know. Usually that's where it starts. That is usually where it starts. That's where it started, kind of, with Icebreaker. But anyways, I put this book off for so long, mostly just because, like I said in the beginning, I haven't really ever try to read a series or try to read a book that has interconnected characters within a series, if that makes any sense. Just because I always have in the back of my mind, I always fear that I'm not gonna love the book as much because we're not following the same people in said series, and I want to see more of those people in that series. But I trust Hannah Grace because I literally read Icebreaker, and I'm not even kidding, 3 days. It is really steamy, so I am happy about that because I feel like, yes, I read romance books for the fluffy romance, like whatever, but I can't lie in saying that I am not reading those also for the smutty sex scenes. Like, hello, I think we're all doing that. But yeah, it's also super floppy, and I think there's a third book coming out, or the other book that's already out, who knows, that's Daydream, that I have on my Amazon wish list as well. I could be mistaken, but I feel like I've seen that floating around somewhere. So I'm really happy to read this and then get to that book, just because I think the cover, which I'll put up here, the cover just seems like really something that was right up my alley. This book is one of the books that I was talking about where I picked it up. This is the second book that I picked up that I really didn't anticipate on picking up, and it wasn't on my TBR list, and that is A Broken Blade by Melissa Blair, and it is a part of the Halfling Saga. And I really don't understand why, but it literally is so heavy. Like, for a book that looks like this, that is a paperback, that doesn't have more than like probably 300 pages in it, it's so thick, and I don't understand why. Literally, it is so heavy. It feels heavy, but I have no clue what this book is about, but it's definitely giving. I've heard glass inspired series. I don't know if that's true, but BuzzFeed did blurb it, which I don't know how well I trust BuzzFeed, but you know what, whatever. And they said perfect for fans of Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass, no. Do I remember what happened in Throne of Glass? Not really. But I couldn't help not pick this up, more so because also when the sun hits the book cover, I don't know if you can tell, but like that girl's eyes shine, and ADHD brain in me loves that fact. It also looks like Lord of the Rings inspired kind of fall fantasy with the whole red leaves and just the way. You wanted to come up again? Come here. Come here. So I'm super interested in reading this and finding out what it's about or whatever. Back in the little quote thing right here, it says, "My body is made of scars. Some were done to me. Hi. But most I did to myself." So I don't know what that means, but we'll figure it out, I guess, at some point. The little chapter, it definitely gives me Throne of Glass vibes because this chapter, like each chapter kind of has that page. And following that book, we have The Starling House by Alex E. Harrow. And this was the first after I recreated my TBR, because a lot of the books that I had on my TBR previously were books that I didn't really find interesting to read anymore or didn't really want to read anymore, so I created a new one. And this was the first book on that new TBR list, and I don't think, if it wasn't because of Katie's reading, I would probably not want to pick this book up as much as I do. The way she was talking about it just made it feel like it was basically a Mexican Gothic, which I also have that book. I'm guessing is the house that this is taking place in is like a house that is alive. Or is that the main character, Opal, basically is dreaming of a house that she's never seen before, and I feel like the house is the house that this book's taking place in. Given that I don't really know what this book is about, but it gives me super gothic, kind of dark, gothic, kind of mysterious, figuring out what happens or what is happening with this house or with whatever. Also, I have, this edition has purple split edges as well, but I also noticed that it has little pictures in it. Not very many, but a few here and there. This one's probably my favorite by far. Last one is this. I don't know if that gives away any spoilers. If it does, I'm sorry. But I noticed that. And the last and final books of this book haul is The Divine Rivals Trilogy by Rebecca Ross. Now, funny story about this one is I went to the bookstore the week before my birthday, and I've been seeing this series, like I've been eyeing the series heavily. It was on my TBR list, and I was like, I'm not gonna pick that book up. Like, I don't. The thing with me is, even if I have a book on my TBR list that I've had on my TBR list for quite some time and I'm super interested in reading it, for whatever reason, I will not pick it up. I don't know why, but I won't pick it up until I'm like, okay, I'm getting desperate FOMO. I need to know what happens. I need to know what this book is about. I need to be in on the secret, or in on whatever. Been on reading it or picking it up until I saw Madison Kate's reading vlog, and she read this series and absolutely loved it. And so I was like, you know what, I got to bookstore. I picked up the book, but I accidentally picked up the second book in the series, following Iris and Roman in these two books. It's basically a love story, but not the. When two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war between gods to seal their fate forever. I'm super interested in reading these books. I probably will read these books more so towards the beginning of next year. Between December and next year, we'll figure out if these books are gonna make it in this TBR. Anyways, that is all the books that I bought for my birthday. It is a lot. There were more books to come from my order, but that kind of got lost and whatnot, and I was trying to figure that whole situation out. But for now, these are the books that I have from my birthday. Again, this is a week late, but you know what? We're not going to talk about it, okay? We're not going to talk about it. Anyways, I also have some more fun videos planned, especially for this month. It might be a little series that I create here. But anyway, I also am hoping to film a Halloween vlog for October, because October is literally my favorite month. I have a lot of videos that I want to film, but I don't know if I will be able to film them. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you've read any of these books, comment down below, like them, what your rating was, if you enjoyed them. If you didn't, that's fine. Just don't make me regret my decisions of buying said books. Guys, in my next video,